Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to January webinar, Telecos Digital Transformation. I'm happy to resume the webinars in the new year. Yeah, Happy New Year for everyone. Um, I made a poll before the webinar to ask the colleagues on LinkedIn about actually what are the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the term digital transformation. And I got like many responses like automation, orchestration, new revenue streams, new digital channels, operational model enhancements, uh, data analytics, and this kind of things. And that shows actually that digital transformation is really a trending topic that touch multiple domains in the telcos. So my intent today and my goal is to make things simple as usual and try to explain the concept of digital transformation and the mapping of such concept into the different teleco domains. So let's start. Okay, for all colleagues who actually meet me for the first time, my name is Karim Rabia. I'm an ICT architect. I've almost 18 years of experience working on many fields of related to telecos in general, like mobility, network, OSS, cloud, and orchestration. And I had multiple roles in different seats, like in the ISPs, in the CSPs, in the teleco vendors, in the service providers and software providers. And I'm mainly interested always in making some content, like vendor agnostic content, to explain the technology, to make it simple. You will not see very like low level details in my webinars, but I try to like to open doors for knowledge. For example, you can always consider my webinar as a first step, into like a specific learning path. So yeah, I hope that this time the webinar will be interesting. It's really very interesting topic nowadays. Not even nowadays, I would say in the last 5 years. So let's go through it. So initially, like I made this slide as a preview, as a preface. I'm sure we all see like many press releases talking about many telcos, many CSPs, communication service providers, doing and having like programs of digital transformation. So that's why it's really important for telco professionals, for telco community, to understand the concept and try to interpret the goals and what would be a future impact, a futuristic impact of that transformation into the whole telco map. And why it is challenging to understand that, because teleco transformation is digital transformation is one of the buzzwords. So many entities, many professionals, many vendors, they use the term to you know to refer to different meaning in a in according to the context itself. So whenever you try to interpret that from the internet, from the links from the Google, from the press releases, sometimes the idea becomes more, I would say, vague, because sometimes you see it part of BSS or maybe OSS, or maybe it's an enterprise thing, or maybe it's related to network, to technology, to automation, to orchestration. So that's why I had actually the intention to do this webinar since time ago, because uh, it's a concept that is scattered everywhere. So it's very important that we gather today, like in 1 hour, to focus and understand exactly the big picture of digital transformation at the telcos. So before we start, you have the Q&A utility. At any time, please feel free to leave a question. I will have like a disconnect, like for maybe a few minutes after each section, to go and review the questions and answer them. And also you can use the chat utility. So today I have like multiple sections. We are going to start to understand the current state of CSPs. I mean, before we talk about digital transformation or any kind of transformation, we will understand what is the motivation for transformation, why CSPs need to transform, what are the accompanying reasons. So we spend some time discussing the current state of the CSPs. Then we will go and see what are the definitions of digital transformation that are there on the market, and we will try to map these definitions into the telecom domain. And then we will position the digital transformation, we will see how digital transformation is decomposed into initiatives and programs within the telecos. And for example, what does this mean, for example, for BSS, for SS, for network, for cloud? And then I'll give some informative example about like delivering innovative services enabled by digital transformation, and then we end up with the trends and the takeaways. Okay, so we can start. I'll just reviewing one of the questions. Okay, so CSPs is a classic name that have been given to the telcos, the service providers who are providing communication service like the mobile and fixed. Uh, so you can say that that's the trend or the classic name of the mobile operators. So what is the current state, I would say, assessment or overview? So before going into the details and understanding the anatomy of a telco, you need to understand I would say, from a top-down approach. What are actually the classic revenue stream that CSPs, I would say, usually own or had for the last years? So mainly there are two main streams, I mean, for the revenues for the CSPs for the last, I would say, starting from the 2G maybe in the 90s. So it's the connectivity basically. So mobile operators, they provide connectivity, and that connectivity can be seen like two main say streams. The voice, I would say, the voice services, like the classic legacy of voice service, people calling using the voice, and for sure the data, okay, the data pipeline. And with each technology, I would say, comes with the evolution of technology like 3G, 4G, 5G. This data pipeline is getting wider and wider. This means that people consume more data. This means that people can pay more. So basically, till the connectivity, and we had also like even started from the beginning, from the 2G, we had some VASs, value added services, and by time this value added service increase and gets more volume, but initially the VASs are very basic value added services. Like if you remember, I would say, I'm not sure if you attended this phase or not, but like something like the ringback tone when like he hears a song in the ring. Some VASs, like for example, you subscribe in a certain service that send you some news about sports, about whatever. So, but in general, the whole revenue stream is actually focusing on the connectivity, that we connect everyone. Okay, that's the mindset. And then we have some VASs, value added services, and as I was telling you, there are very minor services on top of the connectivity. These kind of service have always been exposed or providing services for main internal entities that actually take these, I would say, capabilities and start to sell it to the market. Mainly there's three entities. They can take different names, but I will use like a very generic name that's been used in most of the telcos that I worked with, which is the CBU, Consumer Business Unit. Whoever interested in selling service to the consumer, to the end users, and the Enterprise Business Unit, the EBU. And like this is the entity who's actually trying to consume services on top from connectivity and VAS, and then start to sell it to enterprises. And then the wholesale, whoever, for example, dealing with MVNOs, in some entities dealing with the government. But these are like the main entities who is actually trying to get service out of the technology, out of the mobile operator capabilities, and start to sell it to the market. The connectivity for enterprise, for example, it can start with normal data connectivity like virtual APN, dedicated MD segments, or whatever, and it also have the flavor of having like branches connectivities, like using MPLS, and lately, for example, using SD-WAN. So connectivity is not just connectivity for consumers, but also connectivity for enterprise. One aspect of that kind of revenue streams or services, that it has really a good record of customer trust and outreach, at least locally. So operators, they have I'd say they reach like millions of users because they have been there in the market since years. So any well-established operator in any like country with high population will have millions of subscribers. And the last thing that I want to stress on that most of the services that being given by the operator are local. For example, if a certain operator, like for example, let's say Vodafone Egypt, is providing a service for an enterprise in Egypt. So if this enterprise has opened a branch in Johannesburg or any place in Europe, most probably Vodafone Egypt will not be able to give the service to that branch in Johannesburg or Europe. So it's a local service, okay? And usually it's a local service. Even if you consider roaming, but still you can be covered or supported by your mobile operator, but still the service you are getting it from the local hub. So it's still a local service. One aspect of the CSPs is actually the complexity of the network and the long time they get to deliver services. And I'm bringing here, like it's a very well-known diagram of voice over LTE. It's an IMS, network IMS in the mobile operator. You may think of that as microservice, like with the modern thinking, but no, that was in like 10 years back or 12 years back. These are all like chassis and hardware blocks. So to deliver a service like voice over LTE, to allow people to talk using LTE 4G, you have to build all this setup that can take 1 year or more to deliver a service that might not be a revenue generator. Actually, it's not a revenue generator. So you see that challenge that they take a lot of time to deliver a service, and ultimately this service just provides voice. Okay. So it was important to just assess the current our classic CSP revenue streams and some aspects about how they provide the service. And then I'll take you to another aspect of assessing the CSPs, how they deliver service, how they prepare the service. I brought something called value stream. Value stream, just a concept on how the value is being like created, like for example, from an idea, like a certain operator have an idea to provide a service till the idea is being delivered to the end user and then generate revenue. And you'll see here how this actually process is hectic and lengthy, and you may compare it with other market players like OTTs or even a group of developers who want actually to just quickly introduce an application to the market. So quickly, and this is important because digital transformation will have really, I'd say, a big influence to enhance such a process. So usually, how operators introduce new services, how they do expansions, how they raise investment or they purchase like new technologies, they have a layer. This is the layer that actually create the demand, like why we need to have a technology, new technology, why we need to enable this service. So this idea, I will use the laser pointer. I hope you can see it. So this demand is either coming from technology. For example, technology team is reviewing a new technology, for example, like 5G SA or whatever edge technology, and then it creates like a request that we need to enable this for example, capability from technology perspective. And this is usually difficult to be justified. For example, no one will give budget to just a technological idea. Usually, you actually can get budget in the business. You remember when I told there's an EBU, for example, Enterprise Business Unit. So if this business unit believe that there is a demand in the market and there's a solid business case to introduce a new technology that require investment, then that creates a strong demand. For example, I'm an operator who's working on 5G, and then we found with our partner that we may be able to sell edge solutions, edge in a box solutions. So I build the business case and then I create the demand. I say, okay, to realize this use case, I need, for example, $2 million. The forecast, for example, you have 20 million subscribers consuming certain data, and then you have forecast that this number will increase. So you need to widen the pipe, you need to increase the capabilities of your network, then you create a demand. And then this demand is actually being challenged and assessed by a demand committee. And then finally, a budget is allocated each year to each, I would say, either business unit or each technology department. And then the classical RFX, the RFP or the RFI or the RFQ procurement process starts. Operators start to draft all the requirements in an RFX, request for proposal or request for information, request for quotation, and then you take months for vendors to supply their answers, and then months to evaluate, and then months to do some like commercial negotiation, and then finally you award the scope, and then you like write a contract with the supplier. You start the design and the implementation. It's a pure waterfall methodology. You do design for months, testing in months, and then you do implementation, and then operation accept the service. Business team come and verify that business requirements were achieved, and then at the end, with some integrations with the charging and metering and some BSS stuff, the service is up and running. This is actually that was our life in the last 10 years and still going like that. So this process classically take from 8 months to 1 year to deliver a service. So imagine that I'm an entity who actually trying to enable a new service that the market needs, and I take like 1 year to deliver. So the aspects here that it's a very long service time to market, extremely long service time to market, very, I would say, classic waterfall methodology. There is no agility about deploying such scope. Most of the processes coming from legacy stuff, so they are very manual, they are inefficient administrative processes. And the last thing, and that's very obvious, that you are not agile to introduce new service. For example, if there is a need from the business to deliver a new product, you cannot take 1 year to deliver it, because across that year, maybe in 1 or 2 months, startups can come, OTTs can come, developers can come, hyperscalers can come and deploy the same service. So there are complete lack of agility to introduce new modern service. And modern is very important because we are evolving from connectivity and classical vases into very modern digital service that we are going to talk about in the next slides. The last slide, and then I'll take questions and move to the other part. So if I may summarize the challenges that CSPs is having currently are the following. So a severe declining revenues of core services like voice and messaging. I'm not sure if you are using SMS or not, but no one is using it now. Voice, a lot of VoIP applications, FaceTime, many VoIP applications. So it actually it impacted the voice revenues. It impacted the roaming revenues that the operator used to get. The tough competition with the hyperscalers and OTTs, because eventually all the modern values, all the modern applications, all the apps, all the platforms, all digital platforms are owned by OTTs like over the top and hyperscalers like AWS and Google. So now CSPs, like they see themselves, we are providing connectivity, and then many players come and monetize my connectivity for their side, right? So it's a very tough competition with the hyperscale OTTs. Sorry. Third thing, with the 5G, the rise of private 5G, that an enterprise can have its own private 5G, now become very challenging, because you can think of private 5G as if like it's a managed Wi-Fi. So many startups now are coming on the way to provide such solutions. And even it gets more worse when we heard that even the spectrum itself that used to be exclusively allocated to mobile operators now can be allocated to non-telco enterprises. So in some countries, just it is there for allocation, and if there's a bid from a petroleum entity, for example, they will take it, and then they become a service provider. Tough SME battle, or the small or medium enterprises. These small or medium enterprises for the last years, they have been greatly cooperating and working with hyperscalers, taking software as a service from Microsoft, from Google, from AWS. So they have already, I would say, good record of cooperation with hyperscalers. So now when operators try to give services to the SMEs, they found that really they are very late, because many of the services currently, I mean, the most of the SMEs are depending on a portfolio of services provided by hyperscalers. For example, the connectivity. If the mobile operator is trying to connect to like SME branches, like 5 or 6 branches, most probably that SME have already cooperated with one of the SD-WAN startups or the SD-WAN suppliers. So it's really tough. The high market quality of expectations now with all users are digitally interacting with platforms, with applications, with Google, with Uber, with whatever, the quality of expectations are actually increased. So if the mobile operators want to digitalize their products and give like a value to the market and a modern value, it has to start like in a, I would say from where the others have reached, right? Because now the customers have very high quality of expectation. In the old days, 20 years back, when you give the customer like an internet connectivity, yeah, that's it. I mean, he'll be very happy and very grateful. But now his expectations have actually grown enormously. The other thing that services and the products of the mobile operators are very local. So if you are a mobile operator in Egypt, you are providing service in Egypt. If you are a mobile operator in Kuwait, then you are providing service in Kuwait. You cannot globalize your services. And that's one of the pain points because hyperscalers like AWS, Google, they can give the same service, almost the same service to enterprises at everywhere in the world. So what we are trying to do, and I'm saying we because I'm part of the Teleco community for sure. We are trying, or the telcos are trying, to enable a new set of digital service offering. So we want to evolve from the connectivity to provide more digital service offering, more innovative service that will generate new revenue streams. And then we want to focus on the enterprise market. We want to have more tuned bundles to the enterprise. For example, a bundle for the healthcare, a bundle for the agriculture, a bundle for the mining. And we want to make use of partnerships with hyperscalers or with all vendors that have the capabilities and with the technology evolution. So now with the 5G, for example, we have new capabilities that we can use, that we can position for certain industry segments. So we want to have more and more bundles tuned to the enterprise needs. We have, as telcos, we have the radio, we have the core, we have the IT, we have a lot of domains. So we want to have all these domains as a service domains, like domains exposing services, so that we can consume these services, we can create products based on these services, and then market or position our bundles and products. We want to digitalize our customer engagement model, so we want to have nice digital app, nice digital marketplaces. We want to engage the customers digitally to our platforms, and then we want to automate the service delivery, operation, and infrastructure. And these three are very important. The way we deliver the service, it should be like what we call ZTP, zero touch provisioning. So as a customer asks for a service, click, buy, and then he gets the service. So whatever comes in the background happens in an automated way. The operations, the way we scale, the way we expand, the way we solve tickets are all automated to give to match the expectations that our customers have. And then from infrastructure, we have to use the, I would say, techniques of automating the infrastructure deployment, like infrastructure as a code. We have to use cloud native, I would say, techniques. We have to enforce the DevOps culture. So we have a lot of things that we have as ambitions to actually counter all these challenges. So that was like 3 slides talking about the current state of the CSPs. Let me now look to the questions, and then we go now to the digital transformation. I have one question. Okay, how do you see the voices circulating that OTTs should pay fees to CSPs because they are using their connectivities? Well, I have my my own personal opinion, and I'm totally against that. Uh, as if you had a contract with someone, you had the contract like many years back that you are giving connectivity. You haven't told me that I'm not allowed to innovate. I'm not allowed to actually to monetize my connection. So there is no obligation for me to stop doing any kind of innovations or any kind of inventions. So you are giving the connectivity. what you need to do actually is you cooperate with me, and then we can succeed together. But I don't pay money to you because I'm using your connectivity to create OTT. Why don't you cooperate with me? Why don't you give me an environment like platform as a service? I develop my applications on your platform, and we win together. Like for example, think of a revenue sharing model. Some countries, some systems, they actually block the OTTs, but every time you block an OTT, like a few days later, a new OTT will come. So it's an endless loop. Yeah. So the last question here from Kalesh. So 10 years back, we had like four main players in the mobile world: Nokia, Ericsson, Huawei, Siemens, and yeah. But now there are many players coming from different area like AWS, Red Hat, Mavenir, and then the open solutions and the startups. So how you deal with the red market like that? So that was coming. Okay, we saw that few years back, because technology is not exclusively like coupled with a certain entity. Whoever has like the sense of invention and innovation can actually provide value, and that's what happened, right? uh, what I see that there is no escape from cooperating, because any kind of conflicts, I think the operator or the classic vendors, they are the ones who are going to, I would say, to pay the price. And think of it, for example, if you see the Open RAN, for example, and I'm not commenting on Open RAN in particular, but as an example, when it popped up, there was like new names and new startups like Mavenir, like others, and like new players, and all the classical vendors for a few years they just stood quiet, and like some throwing some negative comments, and then eventually you see now Nokia is talking about Open RAN, right? Ericsson as well. Most of the big vendors are now trying to cooperate with the new vendors. So I see a good opportunity for all players to cooperate together to provide like value to the market. Uh, it's very late, to take a defensive action and try to spread negative messages. And that's very late. Now it's a fact. Hyperscalers are there in the market, providing a service to the enterprises and even to the consumers. They are providing complete portfolio on the edge. If operators want to do that, they will really spend huge capex. So there are many compelling reasons to cooperate rather than to conflict. So yeah, let's continue. I will take this slide. I brought four definitions from four different contexts, and then uh, we will try to take some keywords and map it on the telco domain. So starting from the Wikipedia, I would say the most, agnostic source to any bias, I would say. So it is the adoption of digital technology by an organization to digitize non-digital product, services, or operations. The goal for the implementation is to increase value through innovation, invention, and customer experience or efficiency. So simply, that's, even if not in telco, you're talking about products, services, operations, right? So service, even away from the telco, if you used to go to supermarket to buy stuff, if you can do such a service by an application, so you are digitalizing the service. The goods itself, okay, if you used to go and buy a CD, and then if you are having iTunes, or you even download the song, so that's a digital product. For the operations, okay, what's happening on the background, like some departments issue order for other departments, and then a dispatch for a certain service to be sent to a certain customer. If this can be digitalized by using portals, by using some sort of system that connect all these digitally with a nice digital interface, so you are digitalizing the operation. So it's not just you digitalize the product. That's why digital transformation is not only focusing on the final product, but it reaches even the anatomy of the enterprise, how the enterprise work. That's why it even covers the operational model. Uh, if we take another player, which is AWS, like the public cloud provider, so it is the process that an organization applies to integrate digital technology in all areas of business, fundamentally changing how it delivers value to customers. And I will stop here and I will map that to one of the slides that I showed you. I showed you how the value stream is there in the telcos, how from idea to realization, what is the path the value takes, and what is a hectic process that it is. So digital transformation is supposed to change how we deliver the value to the customer. We are not supposed to spend a year to deliver value to the customer. We are not supposed to expect customer to go to the store to fill a form and then wait for a few weeks to get approval, this kind of thing. So digital transformation changed the whole process, changed the way we deliver value, and even changed the value itself because it opened doors for innovation. So instead of a classical value like connectivity, no, you can start to provide like digital products. You can start to provide uh, in-house developed applications. I will show you that in one of the examples. Salesforce, one of the for sure leading CRM, customer relationship management suite products. So digital transformation is the process of using digital technologies to create new or modify existing business processes. Okay, so it's not just about products again or services, it's about the processes itself, the culture and customer experience to meet changing business and market requirements. And that's a very important point. The market requirements are changing, I would say, by nature. They're not changing by nature, but with like with the sense of innovation, with more and more product comes to market, the expectations change and the market requirements change. And that's why you have to adapt as an operator. For example, if you're thinking of service X for year 223, you can change your mind in Q2 and then you go to service Y. If you don't have the agility to do that, you will lose the market, you will lose the competition. That's why I like this definition, because it's talking about working on the business processes, changing how the way of work, and also we have to be agile to meet the changing business and market requirements. Last thing from Accenture, the global professional service and consulting firm. So we want to increase the efficiency. We want to have like the business agility. We want to unlock a new value for employees, customers, and shareholders. And that's again a good aspect, because digital transformations, it usually comes, I would say, coupled with like offerings to customer. But even how the employees interacts, like internally, that's part of digital transformation use cases. So you can have a digital transformation program to actually to digitalize the processes, the internal processes, to digitalize how the employees interact together. And at the end, eventually, that has a positive impact on how we deliver the value to our customers. Okay, so nice concept, decent, I would say, and fair ambitions and fair motivations on why we need to transform as a CSPs. But here comes one of the challenging, I would say, piece of information, that you have a lot of buzzwords, and usually you have many initiatives inside the organization talk about digital transformation. So I'm trying in these slides to actually position what does the digital transformation mean, or what is the mapping of that term into the different telco domains. And having said that, we have as an initial step to understand what are the telco domains. Okay, so at any enterprise, and telco is not an exception, there are usually these kind of 7 domains, and these are the TMF information framework domains. So you have the market sales domain, and that's the domain where you have the tools and the teams like doing the marketplaces, the digital apps, the sales channels, the point of sale, this kind of sales tool, this kind of how you market your product. And then you have the product domain, and that's where you have the product creation, product lifecycle management, how you tailor the bundles, the product catalogs, a list of products that offered by the CSP or by the DSP in that case. And you have the customer domain, where you get the customer orders to purchase products, where you have the CRM systems, where you have the systems or tools that support the call center employees and personnel, where you have the systems for fault isolation. I mean, for the customer fault isolation, and also that's where you see the bidding of the customer. So usually these domains are populated with teams and departments and with systems that fulfill the corresponding I would say scope. And then service domain, that's where you find terms like service assurance, service orchestration, the service inventories. You can find some metering and some for sake of charging, but usually the charging happens on the customer domain. And if you are familiar with the department inside the CSP, most probably you'll find that customer domain, product domain are labeled by BSS. And sometimes in some enterprises, they say that's the IT side. And then network side starts on the service domain. You may heard about the term OSS. And then the resources domain, that's where you find, like, for example, the infrastructure, the cloud part, like the orchestrated solutions like OpenStack, like Kubernetes. And then partner domain, that's where you interact with a certain partners, like, for example, the workforce management. For example, if part of your service is to dispatch a technician to deliver a service, then you need to open a ticket for third-party technicians. That's where you meet that these processes in the partner domain. And then finally, the enterprise domain. This is the internal domain of the company, like the HR, the finance, and even the working levels. I mean, the hierarchy, the organization. So these are the domains, and most of us, people working on the CSPs or the mobile operators, we work on one of these, okay? And there are for sure some capabilities and some technologies that spans across these stuff. So now, when you talk about digital transformation, so do you refer to something happening in one of these domains, or it's an organizational program, or how does it work? And to give you the look and feel, I just I'm now trying to show you all the like bricks or all the trending terms that you might hear about when you hear about digital transformation. So usually when people talk about digital transformations, it's either a program, and inside that program there are many initiatives and milestones to be achieved to finally say that this enterprise is actually digitally transforming or has already digitally transformed. Or for some reasons and for some organizational barriers, you might hear some siloed initiatives. Like, these things can be a siloed initiative. For example, you can go to the product domain, for example, and the market sales. And then you can hear that, okay, guys, we have like a digital transformation program. It's there in the BSS. And we are talking about digital channels, like new digital channels, like we're going to have like digital application. We are going to have a nice digital marketplace. And then we have some plan to provide, let me use the leader here, to provide like new digital offerings. We want to, evolve from the connectivity and give a nice, bright offerings. We will enhance the customer experience. We will provide a great digital customer experience, and hopefully we can like provide a new revenue stream. That's the plan, to go for a new revenue stream. And you are going to use data analytics to understand what is like the what does every customer expect to see, and what are the interests of each customer. And according to the interest of that customer, we are going to position a certain bundle, a certain thing. So all this, what I was saying, can be labeled by a digital transformation in the BSS. And I'm sure if you are following the press releases, you'll find many of the press releases related to the BSS are talking about these kind of bricks. However, What does it mean? I would say if you are going to bring the capabilities for new digital offerings, but for example, on the service domain and the resources domain, you don't have the capability to do that. For example, you don't have like an efficient deployment model or a cloud delivery model that actually can support what is happening on the product level. Then nothing will happen. And at the same time, if you hear that on the cloud level, a certain company is saying that, okay, we are going to do digital transformation by enforcing DevOps methodologies and by bringing like the most modern cloud solution, like we're going to provide platform as a service and X as a service, anything as a service. Okay, now you have the capabilities, but what if these capabilities cannot be consumed by any service on the northbound because there are no products that there in the product catalog that actually can make use of that capabilities? Let me give you another example. What if in the service domain I introduced 5G, right? I have a 5G SA standalone, and then I'm going to provide a network slice as a service, which is a modern service that you can provide a certain slice from the network to enterprise customers. Okay, but the problem is how you are going to do the billing of the network slicing. You are used to do billing based on data usage and based on consumption, right? But you can maybe start to do the billing of network slicing using SLA. So if you achieve SLA, you get your money. I mean, from the enterprise customer. If you violate the SLA, then money can be reduced. So if you are technically capable of providing network slicing, but billing on the customer domain is not ready, then you are not be able to provide this service to the market. That's the point. So my point is, the most ideal case is actually to do a digital transformation on an organizational level. And then you start to reach the understanding that if you want to provide or bring transformation to your organization, then you need to understand that there are many bricks and many, I would say, there's a stack to be built in everywhere. For example, this is just an informative, but for example, to do a proper digital transformation, if you are going to a new digital offering or a new revenue stream or digital channels, then you have to have the right cloud computing model into place. Then you have to have the right automation and orchestration technologies and processes into place. Then you have to do modernization of the operational model, because if you have already an inefficient operational model and then you introduce automation and orchestration, you just maximize the inefficiency, right? As what Bill Gates used to say, and that's 100% matching the case in the telcos. That you bring solutions, but you have an inefficient operational model, inefficient processes, and that's it. You maximize the inefficiency. How you are going to be agile without enforcing the DevOps into all levels? For example, on the cloud level, into the service level, for example, when you want to do like continuous deployment of new services or deltas to services, you have to avail a very nice digital user experience to your customers and even internally. And you have the capability of AI to give you many benefits. Like as I told you, in the sales domain, it can help you to position the right bundle. In the resource and service, it can help you to do proactive maintenance or proactive support, in addition to many other use cases. So that's why digital transformation must be always handled as a program that actually talks to all domains of the enterprise, and then we think together how we are going to bring the value to the customers, how we are going to increase the revenue streams, how we are going to increase the agility. The answer is scattered everywhere. I will finish that slide with just an informative example on one of the modern products, just to show you how these bricks touch, or how these bricks contribute to the digital transformation. So let's say I just selected that title, like new opportunities enabled via digital transformation. For example, the 5G enterprise offerings. Let's say that mobile operator has introduced the 5G standalone, and the thinking that this operator can provide a network slice to the enterprises plus an application that is tailored for the customer segment. For example, if you are going to give this slice on the edge to the mining, Then you will give them, for example, some applications that will help them in their industry for safety, for whatever. And then you provide an end-to-end slice. So let's take it one by one, okay? And then I will show you exactly how the last slide breaks, how digital transformation can help us to achieve such, I would say, modern solution. So starting from the northbound, uh, I'm expecting that to avail such a product, like for example, for enterprises to purchase such a product, they will go to a very nice digital user experience and say to them, okay, just select the slice that you want to have. What is the characteristic that you want to have in your slice? And then select. The new revenue streams that require that you know exactly how to bill your customer, how to meter the usage, right? And this is very important. You may ask yourself, what does like a BSS or billing got to do with the 5G? But if you know that we have many, I would say, classically, the billing or the charging of the mobile service was the data, right? You consume data, you get more bytes, you are billed, right? Or maybe voice by minutes. The more minutes you consume, like the more money you pay, something like that. So it is about usage. But about slicing, there are new ways of metering. You can meter by SLA, and these slices are dynamically by nature. Like you can enable the slice, disable the slice, allocate it to the customer, and then dismantle it or clear it. So the billing or the way the revenue handling must adapt to such kind of service. And then a new digital product, because on the marketplace you are going to position it as a new digital product. You are telling, okay, you are the mining, then come and I'll give you these applications of mining with the least latency possible, with, like, for example, zero point 0.2 milliseconds or 10 microseconds. So you are innovating, right, in creating and defining the product because you have the capabilities in the technologies on the southbound. AI and analytics, as I said, you can position such engine on that layer to understand exactly the interest of the customer browsing the marketplace, and then position the right bundle for it. It's just an example. For sure there are many examples. And then in the layer beneath, you can start to enforce DevOps methodologies, because you need a continuous delivery for services, continuous deployment for services for different verticals. You need to add, or you need to have the right automation and orchestration engine and culture, because if you introduce only the technology but you still live with the legacy processes or the way the teams interact with each other, this will never work. All the orchestrators currently or solutions, they have a very nice digital user experience. For example, if you want to give access to the customer to that layer, or even internally, and for sure most of the modern service orchestration and stuff, they have already AI and analytics engine, so AI is part of it. And then when it comes to cloud, actually the cloud is the one who are going to instantiate this slice. Most probably it will be microservices based on containers. So you need to have the automation and orchestration right engines. You need to have the right skill set. For example, talking about Kubernetes as a platform, you can deploy the AI analytics engine at that level, at the resources level. It is very, very popular. And then on the application side, and this is something very important. So you want to, this transformation is there to open space for innovation, right? So if you are having the cloud, why don't you have like a platform as a service and call developers from everywhere to come and develop products, invent products, a product for on the edge, product for enterprise X, a product for public safety, a product for moms, product for children, product for pets. So it's very important to enable this kind of bricks, or the technology enablers at every domain. So DevOps on the cloud level, if you have the right engine and the right environment and your right culture, you can have a continuously delivery pipeline. And why I'm saying that, because initially I showed you that we used to take 1 year to deliver a service. But if you have the right platform and the right tools and the right skill set and the right culture, developers can just, continuously deploy and develop applications in no time, very compared to what the OTTs are doing. So you are back in the competition. I will stop here, and then we have the last, I would say, two slides about the trends and the challenges. I'll take one question and then I will continue. I hope I hope it is you're following and still interesting. Sorry, I had to speed up maybe a little bit. Okay, so I have one question for sure. The rest of questions I'm going to answer that offline, but because of the time. So we have often seen that digital transformation projects do involve high spends compared to forecast, and to forecast at initial level. How can we control the cost challenge and high spend as it becomes very difficult to move some functionality from legacy applications? Okay, so the problem is that year after year, it becomes vital to do such a transformation because the price you are going to pay if you don't do it is really huge. You may even lose the market. You may even lose the market. So this is the justification. And usually, the digital transformation thing or the program is very coupled with a business case, right? Or is a business case assessment. So even the consultancies that do such projects or such programs, they start with doing like some sort of business case assessment and providing some sort of of a of a roadmap to the executives that okay, if we do this program, we are going to achieve XYZ. Okay, and then it's a decision for the executive. But again, the point is, if you don't do that, even it's high cost, you will really have a big penalty in the future. And we saw that already, right? Uh, the SD-WAN, for example, the enterprise connectivity. Operators were very late in doing that. Were very focusing on the MPLS, for example, connectivity between enterprises, SMEs, and offices. So a huge market was taken by new startups to connect this office as an overlay on top of the connectivity of the CSPs. So there are many opportunities there in the market. If you are late, you'll lose it. So we have 5 minutes, and just quickly, I'm going through the market trends. So the market trends. So initially, from the resources level, from the cloud level, most of the operators, most of CSPs are modernizing their cloud. They are evolving from infrastructure as a service into platform as a service into a container as a service. So they are deploying microservices for 5G core, for Open RAN. So even the way operators are looking to cloud now is different compared to 10 years back. There are very good momentum with coming with partnership with hyperscalers like Microsoft and Azure and Google and Alibaba, for example. So now it's a very trending that you observe that most of the operators are going for a cloud native, evolving from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service and container as a service. 5G and edge monetization. So as I said, we used to provide connectivity, but now we are trying to find new innovative solutions enabled by technology. So 5G is here, is to the rescue with a new set of services. So most of the operators are trying to position the network slicing, the slide that I showed a few minutes ago, with like some full edge solution, like edge in a box. You provide to the enterprise an edge in the box, and that edge in a box can be, for example, provided by like a revenue sharing with partners. But that's very trending. I'm sure if you search in Google, you find a lot of press releases about cooperation between operators and hyperscalers to monetize the edge. Hyperscalers partnership, that's very trending, like Verizon, AWS, AT&T, Microsoft, Etisalat with Microsoft, and many operators with hyperscalers. So they are mainly shifting from capex model to opex model, and the operator are thinking that I don't need to invest to create all the data center, all this cloud. I will just partner with the hyperscaler mainly to provide solutions for the edge and for the enterprise. AI and data analytics, as I showed you, it is there in the whole domains. It has use cases in the BSS, in the OSS, service assurance, in the marketing and product, in everywhere. Most of the service orchestrators, most of the modern orchestrators are having analytics engine. The only challenge operators have here is actually the positioning of the solution, because there are many entities, the organization is bulky, there are the data warehouse, there are the service assurance, there are the BSS. So what is not clear is how these solutions are to be positioned. And also one other challenge, that the way you procure AI is different on the way you procure classic technologies, because in classic technologies you have a scope that to be delivered in 6 months or 1 year, and you can specify what are the deliverables, and you make the payments based on the deliverables. But for AI and data analytics, because the engine usually needs to learn, and it will need like some time to actually start to produce results, and it's not clear for the operators how they can go, how they are to evaluate such solutions. Automation and orchestration, that's very trending. All the technology that you may hear, like 5G, it has an orchestration framework. Open RAN has an orchestration framework. All the domains like transport, IT, all of them now have some sort of umbrellas doing automation and orchestration. So it's very trendy that you see multi-tier orchestrations at the operator's organization. IT is actually one of the digital services that most of the operators are investing in, because technology is providing you a nice enablement. So for example, 5G is giving you nice SLAs and for coverage and for batteries and for even speed. So it's very trending. It started even like 10 years back by giving dedicated core or dedicated APN for M2M, but now operators are providing even the platforms and the devices and the overall solution. Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is one of the most important topics and trending topics at the operators now, because with the explosion of technologies like and many open source stuff and many domains exposing services. So the domains by nature now became exposable. So security became like a real pain. So many operators are investing on the cybersecurity, creating departments and general department dedicated for that, enforcing securities, trying to build, for example, DevSecOps to enforce security principles at the development stage, not at the end stage. So cybersecurity actually is one of the trending terms or trending stuff in the I'd say in the current market within the title digital transformation. I will like end here. We are on time by the key takeaways, and then I'll take a look on the questions. So what are the takeaways? And yani before that, I know that it was like a condensed webinar, but I tried to, as much as possible, to shed light on the main pillars. On as I told you, I will not. I don't usually go into low-level details, but you can think of it as a starting. I would say a starting step or first step to gain the knowledge. So, what are the takeaways? We had used to have a comfort zone in the CSPs, like providing data and voice. Everybody's happy, and we have a recurring revenue. But now with declining revenue of voice services, and with the tough competition with the OTTs, like the messaging applications, like the digital application, the platforms, and the rise of hyperscalers like AWS and Google, this actually made an impact on the CSP's way of thinking and CSP's strategies. And let me tell you, one of the things that actually it also made some turbulence to the CSP's roadmaps. The way hyperscalers, for example, like Facebook, and sometimes they provide initiatives to provide connectivity to end users using satellites, using balloons. So there are many initiatives that was there in the last few years. So this actually makes the CSP very worried, because now the hyperscaler or these players, they don't just provide service on top of our connectivity, but even they want to bypass the connectivity. And even the involvement of these hyperscalers in initiatives like Open RAN and Open Core, this worries a lot the CSPs, because this shows that intentions, cannot be predicted, unpredictable. Because at one stage you can find that the connectivity are provided already by hyperscaler or OTT, then CSP will not have any core value stream. Digital transformation is a label that you may see under many siloed transfer initiatives, like I showed you, like DevOps, digital channels, automation orchestration, cloud native. So this initiative or siloed initiatives can take the label digital transformation. But really, to have the ultimate goals, it must be handled as a program, organizational program. And I showed you how it looks like. So usually when you ask someone, a telco professional, about digital transformation, always the link is there with the BSS, with the IT side, with the product side, with the sales side, with the customer side. However, with the evolution of the other domains, like the OSS, like the new next generation OSS and the cloud and all the other stuff, so this transformation became more and more a holistic term that actually referred to the transforming the whole organization or the whole domains. It's a trend. Just write digital transformation and telco, you'll find a lot of CSPs are undergoing this transformation. You may even start to interpret the message on the marketing message. Many operators, for example, let's take Etisalat, for example. Etisalat now, they changed the branding. It's now E&, to give the impression that we are not just Etisalat providing, connectivity or the CSP stuff. No, we are E&, we are providing more and more services. We are a whole, we are providing digital services. We may provide like other digital products, even not related to the telcos at all. So that's the trend. Something like Rakuten, for example. Rakuten in Japan, initially it was a marketplace, right? It was like a digital platform. It wasn't even a mobile operator, and then they became like a mobile operator. So that's why you see it's a very trendy and large thing, and many operators put their hope on that 5G is to the rescue as an enabler for the new digital service. So it will not be just connectivity for consumers. No, we are going to explore, heavily the market of enterprises, the market of industry segments. We are going to provide private 5Gs, network slicing, and we are going to provide tailored bundles to the enterprises. So that's the current focus of most of the CSPs. I think I took like 5 minutes more. I'm really sorry for that. I'll just close the webinar and then take a look on the questions. But I would like to thank you. I hope it was useful. This 1 hour, I didn't disturb your weekend. So thanks a lot, and see you next month. I will have a look now on the questions.